So the state would be the ones who complain if they found out. Saying, why are you exempting yourself from paying us the things that we're supposed to do?
Members of the council, staff, fellow residents, tonight is the fifth State of the Township message I've delivered to you. As I've done in the past, I will attempt to offer a perspective on where we are and some of what confronts us in the future, rather than flood you with facts and figures. One of the things I've learned over the past few years is that perspectives are hard to come by and difficult to hold on to. For example, I still think of myself as a new mayor. Last Thursday evening, I spoke to the East Brunswick JCs, and at the beginning of the meeting, each person gave a little sketch of himself, including how long he'd been a resident. As we went around the room, I began to realize that many of the people in the room had come since 1975 and had never known another mayor in East Brunswick. What's more, most of the people in the room had never known East Brunswick when Nancy Blethyn and Jerry Hurt were not on the council. It came as a rather sobering revelation to recognize that at least here, we are the establishment. Now, this revelation led me to reflect a bit on some of the perspectives, policies, and philosophies that have brought us to where we are today. I will assert that East Brunswick is a difficult place to govern. We have a growing, sprawling community. Within our 23 square miles are some 44,000 people. They live in areas ranging from densely populated, urban-like neighborhoods to rural-like farming areas. They move around on 180 miles of streets and roads, and they are spread out. For comparison, New Brunswick has a population density of about 7,900 people per square mile. Milltown has 4,300 per square mile, Spotswood 3,600, and East Brunswick less than 2,000 people per square mile. Having a lot of people and having them thinly spread places unique physical demands on the provision of governmental services. If this were not enough, our residents want and indeed demand and deserve effective and efficient service from government. Many of us paid a lot for our homes, and we all pay a substantial amount in taxes. We expect the services to go with valuable homes and significant taxes. We also want to maintain the value of our homes and keep our taxes reasonable. My partial response to this is a philosophy of management and staffing of our community, which is that we, like the Marines, need a few good people. That we should pay our people well, provide them with a quality work environment, the tools that they need to do their jobs well, and demand nothing short of excellence. I believe that this philosophy meets the unusual needs of our community and translates into good government for East Brunswick. If we look at our professional staff, we see that almost without exception, they are recognized by their peers as outstanding people who are administering outstanding programs. Our library is the envy of the entire state. Our finance director serves on many national committees in the area of government finance. Our administrator has been a leader in the important effort to plan for water resource management in our region, and recently has been appointed to the State Clean Water Council by Governor Byrne. Our police department is respected throughout the county and state for its professional organization and conduct. Many of our recreation programs serve as models for other communities. Our planning staff is known to be among the best of any municipality in the state. Our construction inspection division has attained the highest certification possible under the State Uniform Construction Act. Our parks are used as models by state agencies. Our computer programs are sought after by other governments. Our risk management program is a model for other governmental agencies. And I could go on and on. But we do not exist for the personal advancement of our professional staff. We do not exist to develop model programs for other governmental agencies. We do not exist to license our computer programs to other levels of government. We do not exist to conduct exercises in good management. We do not exist to conduct experiments in organization. We exist only to provide service to our residents. I believe that the quality of our staff, the creativity of our staff, the efficiency of our staff, the pride of our staff translates directly to service for our residents. Our risk management program, as a model for other governments, is in fact respected because it has saved the taxpayers money. Conservatively, we estimate that over the past 2 years, our program of protected self-insurance has resulted in savings of at least $375,000, $250,000 for the taxpayers of East Brunswick. Moreover, this program has given us control of the disposition of claims in and against the Township and has resulted in a safer environment for both our residents and our employees. You and I, council members, can remember 2 or 3 years ago the number of complaints we had about speeding vehicles on many of the major through streets in the community: Fern Road, University Drive, Gage Road, and others. I have noticed, and I hope you have too, that in the past year or so these complaints have declined dramatically. The reason for this, I believe, is the creativity of our outstanding Traffic Safety Bureau and their determination to deal with this problem. A new plan of speeding control involving the assignment of radar vehicles to these speeding trouble spots on a regular basis was developed, improving enforcement and making our attempts at enforcement more visible to residents on these streets. The creativity and imagination of our finance office translates directly into benefits for our residents that are exhibited in our AA bond rating, thereby resulting in low interest rates, and benefits deriving from an aggressive investment program, which in 1979 produced over $500,000 in interest to be utilized in the operation of municipal government. This is $500,000 of programs which we might not have been able to provide, or if we were to provide programs which would be part of the municipal tax rate. The investigation section in the police department has a rate of crime solution of 34%, compared to an estimated 18 to 20% in the rest of the state. This, of course, is a significant accomplishment on the part of the individuals in the investigation section, but moreover, it reduces crime by word getting out that East Brunswick is not a good place to commit a crime because you're going to get caught, and thereby adding to the protection of our residents. The Camp Daisy program is seen as a model of therapeutic recreation in the state of New Jersey, but this in and of itself is no accomplishment. What is important is that those residents of our community who are in need of this program have it available to them. They have a place and a program available which is unique and which meet many special needs in ways that are unavailable in other communities. The Senior Citizen Program is in touch with over 1,000 senior citizens of our community and serves nearly 100 of them every day, providing social and recreational opportunities that would otherwise be unavailable. The creation of the Code Enforcement Bureau and placing it in the Department of Public Safety, which is an innovative organizational concept for municipal government, has no meaning as a concept. What does have meaning is that a few years ago, we hardly ever won a court case involving code enforcement, and in the time since the creation of the Code Enforcement Bureau, we have been successful in 28 of 30 court actions. This, again, is not only an accomplishment for the individuals involved, but it also says to those who would ignore our developmental, zoning, and the various other codes of the Township that if they do so, they have a very high probability of being found guilty and having appropriate penalties imposed. If one assumes that the codes that exist because they are the will of our residents, all residents are served by strict enforcement. Our Management Information Services Division, while recognized for its excellence in applications of computer programming to the operations of municipal government, would have no meaning if it did not result in service and savings to our residents. While it is true that other communities and other levels of government look to East Brunswick for computer programs to use in their operations, it is also true that the implementation of the Management Information Services program in the community results in savings and service to our people. In budget preparation alone, the manipulation of the budget information in order to allow us to examine it in many different ways results in substantial savings to the taxpayers of East Brunswick by giving us great control of our budgetary process and the expenditure of taxpayers' funds. In the future, the full implementation of the management planning or cost accounting system will give us the opportunity to better examine the ways in which various functions of municipal government are performed and to better plan and budget to meet the service needs of our residents. The judicious integration of our capital improvements program with the identified needs of the community also translates into important basic services. The annual road resurfacing program has allowed us to arrive at a point where the streets of our community are as in good a shape as they've ever been. I do not know of one street that is in need of significant repair. The annual drainage improvement program has allowed us to attack long-standing and particularly annoying drainage problems in a systematic way. Problems that have existed for 5, 10, 15, and in some cases 20 years have been eliminated with a relatively small expenditure of municipal funds, but with substantial benefit to the residents involved. Many of these drainage problems have required as little as $1,500 to $2,000 to correct, and yet they persisted for many, many years. I believe that the introduction of sound planning and a systematic approach to problem solution has allowed us to identify and deal with problems such as these much more responsively than in the past. You and I recognize, Council, that we do not have perfection in this municipal government. You and I recognize that there are still some nagging problems such as leaf collection and snow removal, which are not to our level of expectation, nor the level of expectation of our residents. However, the existence of a sound management team, the existence of creative and dedicated employees allows the analysis and design of a solution to these problems, I believe, at a much faster rate than would otherwise be possible. Meeting the service demands of a growing town also requires a role for active, interested citizens. Citizens are involved in the government of our community at many levels. There are those who come to each of us individually with their concerns and complaints. There are those who come to council meetings to voice their opinion and their concerns. And there are those who serve on the many citizen advisory groups. I am especially pleased that we have successfully entered into the era of one-issue politics by providing a structure in which citizens who have a particular interest are able to actively participate through serving on a variety of advisory boards. Whether they're interested in transportation, housing, history, the arts, recreation, or sports, citizens are able to participate in a real way in setting the policies and directions and programs of our community. Their involvement, input, creativity, ideas, and advice is invaluable. All of us must be grateful for the important contribution which they make. I would like now to turn to a topic which has been a priority for several years, and that is the economic health of our community. We collectively have participated in staff conferences, enacted ordinances, and have set policies which encourage a close examination and program of action for the economic health of East Brunswick. I'm happy to report to you that these efforts are paying off. In 4 of the past 5 years, the growth of industrial and commercial ratables exceeded the growth in residential ratables. As you may recall, I've set a modest goal of changing the balance of the ratio of commercial and industrial ratables to residential by 5%. This will require that industrial and commercial ratables consistently grow at a faster rate than residential. In 1979, the total value of construction was $21,318,000. Broken down, the value of residential construction was $10,307,000, while commercial and industrial construction accounted for $11,010,000. While progress is slow, there's been an overall shift of 1% in the desired direction for the 5-year period. I believe that this is the first result of our efforts in this important area. As industrial and commercial firms have examined East Brunswick, the Council on Economic Health and the planning staff have been able to provide them with clear and concise descriptions of the economic character of East Brunswick and of the various factors which would influence the success of their business in our town. The ability to provide this information indicates a sophistication in analysis and an attention to this element of our community's life that is unusual and impressive. I believe that the Planning Board has had a significant role in encouraging appropriate development in the commercial and industrial sector. There was a time when our Planning Board had a reputation of being arbitrary and capricious in its actions. There was a time when our Planning Board was seen as obstructionist and unreasonable in its demands of prospective developers. Through a combination of diligence on the part of the Planning Board members and the support of an excellent staff, the reputation and image of the East Brunswick Planning Board is now significantly different. Our Planning Board is seen as tough but fair, demanding but not unreasonably so. Our Planning Board is seen as a body which will work expeditiously to hear and act on a developer's application, realizing that time is money in the development world. At the same time, the Planning Board has been especially sensitive in recognizing and representing the interest of our residents. Many, many residents have told me after Planning Board meetings that whereas they came to the meeting feeling that somehow the Planning Board was on the side of developers, they were surprised and pleased to find that the Planning Board indeed was representative of the interest of the community and that it was fair and even-handed in sorting out the sometimes competing concerns of residents and developers. As a member of the Planning Board, this gives me a great sense of pride. And as an elected leader of the community, it gives me a great sense of gratitude for the individual and collective efforts of the members of the Planning Board. A third factor which I believe promotes industrial and commercial activity in the community is the recent certification of the Construction Inspection Division as a Class I agency. We've all read in the newspapers of the inordinate delays and red tape involved in securing construction approval through the state of New Jersey. With the certification of our inspectors and the Division of Construction Inspection as a Class I agency, we are one of only 3 communities in the entire state where a commercial or industrial developer is able to get all necessary approvals locally without reference to any state agency. This translates to an environment which encourages developers to come to East Brunswick and to produce development which is not only acceptable to our residents, but in which we can take substantial pride. And last but not least, the existence of a balanced and implemented comprehensive master plan for East Brunswick, providing for reasonable levels of industrial and commercial development, must be considered a factor in the attraction to our community of those who would develop in this sector. But notwithstanding these successes, we must not become complacent about economic health. The results that we have achieved so far have been achieved through an active and vigorous program of examination of the economic health needs of our community. We must not desist in carrying these analyses and plans to fruition, and we must continue to emphasize this part of the life of East Brunswick. Some years ago, I observed that we had a love-hate relationship with the commercial industrial sector of our community, especially Route 18. We love the tax dollars that the ratables produce, but the community hated the image which it believed that brought. I believe that we have, through our efforts at economic planning, come to a much more realistic view of the role of Route 18 and other non-residential activities in our community. I believe that rather than an emotional reaction, we have come to a rational analysis of what Route 18 in particular means to our community. We have come indeed to see Route 18 as a substantial asset to our community, one which attracts shoppers from the entire region, which carries a substantial part of our tax burden, and one which, with proper planning and guidance, can become an even greater asset to East Brunswick. Route 18 must be viewed as an integrated whole. It cannot be viewed as a series of independent enterprises, each with its own problems and assets. Route 18 is in fact the biggest shopping center in Middlesex County and the central part of New Jersey. Route 18 offers a variety of shopping and shopping convenience that is unparalleled in Middlesex County or in the region. Route 18 offers the biggest source of non-residential rateable growth in the remainder of this century. As such, Route 18 must continue to have a high priority in our economic planning efforts. We must look for innovative approaches to the further development of Route 18 and the maintenance of the business enterprises which exist there today. I believe that this need will be met only by continuous and diligent pursuit of state, federal, and local initiatives to improve the existing nature of this large shopping facility and to see that it develops appropriately in the future. I believe that in the coming years, the future of Route 18 will cause us to confront rather squarely the philosophical question of the role of government in encouraging private sector activities. As you know, the Council on Economic Health has indicated that at least on a preliminary basis, they believe that government must have an active role in the future development of Route 18. This position, of course, comes squarely in conflict with the philosophical view that the best government is the least government. The least government view, I believe, is one that I subscribe to, except as stated in the extreme. We in East Brunswick have not hesitated to act where action is required. We have not hesitated to use the powers and the resources of municipal government to enter into areas where the private sector has failed to produce a desired result. We have also stayed away from other areas where it appeared that individuals and groups and corporations could meet the needs of the community. As we plan for the future of Route 18, we must carefully consider the conflict between the view of the least government being the best and the view that certain identifiable areas of activity will not progress as desired without the involvement of municipal government. We must examine very closely the needs and plan for Route 18 and make a carefully reasoned decision about the role of government in its future development. Most of the commercial property remaining on Route 18 is not vacant. Much of it is occupied by businesses which exist through variance or nonconforming use, and most of the remaining commercial areas are occupied by single-family residential structures on small lots with a multiplicity of ownership and division of developable area. We must examine with exceeding care the potential of the future development of these areas with and without government or quasi-government involvement. I believe that if Route 18 is to be maintained as a healthy economic benefit to our community, attractive to shoppers and business people alike, that we will have to examine very closely the possibilities of government-initiated programs to maintain and facilitate the existing assets along the highway. We cannot automatically react that this is an area where local government should not be involved. I believe that if we are to see the maintenance of the existing areas and the future development of those areas which are underutilized in any realistic time frame, we will have to seriously consider the involvement of local government in some fashion or manner in the future of the highway. To return finally to the opening theme of my remarks tonight, East Brunswick is no longer the sleepy rural farm community that it was 30 and even 20 years ago. East Brunswick is large and getting bigger. East Brunswick is in demand by individuals for residences and by businesses for business establishments. While our geographic boundaries do not grow, the number of residents is steadily increasing, which in turn increases the complexity of the problems that we face and the solutions required. The continuing transition from rural community to suburban township creates great needs. Many towns in this situation look elsewhere for help, but East Brunswick is independent in that we have seen that we cannot completely rely on other levels of government to solve our problems, that we cannot rely on the state legislature, nor on the Congress, nor on anyone else but ourselves. As we consider the 1970s and move into the 1980s, our approach to government and leadership can be summed up in three words: pride, vision, and accomplishment. Pride in what our community is, vision for what our community can be, and dedication to accomplishing those things necessary to make our visions reality. There are those who might sincerely disagree with our stewardship, but we must beware, my friends, of those who would selfishly diminish our pride, of those who would point only to our problems and liabilities rather than our assets. Beware, my friends, of those who would narrow your vision, of those whose focus is only for tomorrow. Beware of those who would diminish our accomplishment, of those who fear prudent risk, of those who prefer inaction to action. For we who lead, we must not let our pride in what has been accomplished become a substitute for the continued striving to improve. We must not let our dreams become fantasies, and we must not accomplish only for the sake of accomplishment. So as we move forward, let us constantly remind ourselves of these three things: pride in what our community is, vision for what our community can be, and dedication to the accomplishment of those things necessary to make our vision a reality.